Welcome to Riverside Royals offseason. We got a big episode today. We finished 2-9, and recruiting has gone fairly well. Now, we are going to lose out on some big players we were interested in. We do have some players visiting this week, and we only have one more week before Conference Championship Week, our final time to even talk to any of these recruits before the actual offseason recruiting period. So, we have to allocate these points in the best way possible, and I think that means giving up on some players, probably. Miles Horst, I think we're going to make a big push on. Linebacker from Harahan, Louisiana, 6'2", 237, with very good speed, tackling, great finesse moves. Gotta have him. Gotta have him. Mac Chung is good. There are a bunch of really good defensive linemen that we found. Now, Clayton Bartlett falls into that same realm as well. And there are a lot of players down here that I just don't think we're going to even have a chance to get, like DeYounkeria Grayer and Matt McDonald. So I think it just makes the most sense to pull out of these recruitments. We just got in too late. That's kind of what it comes down to. So Matt McDonald we're going to remove. DeYounkeria Grayer we're going to remove, even though these players look great, obviously. It's just a case of us not being able to get them. Now, in the last episode or episode before, we did secure big-time recruitments from Linwood Tapley, a corner from Escondido, California. Good speed, great man coverage. Honestly, I would say the best player that we have, even including Daniel Belcher. If Belcher had more speed, I get it. Plus 19 gem, 2-star recruit. You never think you can find a player like this, yet we did. He was our first commit, only a 2-star, but he's not the fastest. When you factor everything in with Linwood Tapley, coming into the program with 88 speed, 90 jumping, 90 man coverage, this is an elite lockdown corner. Now, zone coverage is decent, not amazing. Press isn't very high, but looks to be an incredible player. Outside of that, we've now freed up, 1,000 points to work with. So we're going to go all in on some of these players, and maybe that includes quarterback Garrett Geary from Westfield, Massachusetts. We need a quarterback. We're currently in the conversation to land 2, maybe. Danny Pardula from Salinas, California, obviously a pipeline state. We're in California. He is a 4-star and currently deciding between schools like Riverside or Stanford. It's really a 2-horse race. We are trying to win that race. We'll see if we can. We're leading right now. We're looking good. But Stanford, you can assume, is going to make a push. Geary, he's leaving Massachusetts. That much is for certain. Deciding between Memphis, Coastal Carolina, Eastern Michigan, and Miami of Ohio, I believe, is that final school in that mix. But we should get him. And we're going to put 500 points to make sure that we can get him. 24 players left on the board. Hinton, we're going to go 500. We might as well at this point, right? 500 points on everybody that we actually want to get. And this leaves us with 500 points left over. Javon Clements, we probably don't have a shot to get and isn't really that great of a player. Ken Couch, Ron Mills, why are these guys even on my board? I don't know. Big time bust, can't really catch or block. Don't really want many of these players. A JUCO fullback, lacking speed, not really a big interest in either. I guess the rest of these players are really looking to be like depth pickups. I would say J.C. Fanning probably far more important than Micah Davis. I think running back is fairly replaceable, and we already have a big-time running back recruit. The only way a player like him would touch the field, and he's actually a decent receiver, to be honest. But the only real way he would get on the field is when, Justin Belcher needs a breather. And I don't think it's really worth going all in to get him. Tamari Freebeck from Palm Springs. Speed's okay. Route running's pretty good. Not really a player I'm super interested in. I just want to make sure everybody has a scholarship that we're actually targeting here. Miles Amos does. Horst does. Chung does. J.C. Fanning does. Clayton Bartlett does. And then, Mario Gardner is a junior college player. Does have good speed and catching. I don't know that we're going to be able to get him, though. Where are we in relation to Fresno State? We're gaining on them. ULM gaining on Micah Davis, who we are currently in the lead for, but I'm not really going to make too big of a push. Is Mario Gardner more important? Now, we've already taken 2 receivers in this class. Kahi Kalani Inoke and Justin Lingard. I like both of these guys. Inoke, I think, can particularly be a big-time playmaker for us. 96 speed, 80 route running, 80 release, and is 6'4", 227. So a big-bodied receiver. Receiver, not necessarily a big need. I know our class is not exceptionally large right now, but we're about to bring in a bunch of defensive linemen. Offensive line is going to have to be a big focus in our next season in 2035. But I think we've set things up pretty much the way we want, and we are headed to the true and official offseason. Now, the reason I don't stream this is because it is a lot less exciting than the Madden offseason. There are not as many players to go over. Obviously, it's only the players on our board. And also with the recruiting mod, I got to follow a tutorial online. It has to be loaded in before the recruiting class is actually made. It involves a lot of Excel, and I mean the actual Microsoft app Excel, generating Excel sheets and different things like that and importing it using a DB editor. A lot of different things are involved. It's beyond my pay grade, right? And I need to follow a tutorial. I just have to. So that stuff doesn't make for great stream content. But you know what would have is a big-time commitment from the gem free safety, Alex Toure. He was a big-time recruit for us, somebody that we identified fairly early in the process. And when you look at our best player on defense, who has it been? I mean, of course, you can look in the defensive line. Lamar Simmons has played really well. But Wesley Price, in my opinion, has been the best player on the entire team. Offensively sometimes, and of course defensively. And pairing him up with another big-time safety in Alex Toure here, I think is going to be absolutely exceptional. From Sheldon, Iowa, 6'2", 212. Big time. Don't even have to worry about it in the offseason. Just signs right away. 87 speed. 86 tackle. Block shedding is pretty good for a safety. Coverage is not amazing, but press is pretty high for a safety, right? At 81. So is this a player that plays nickel corner as well as maybe strong safety? We move him over, Wesley Price, to that free side. 87 speed, 95 acceleration is great, 91 agility. Hit power is not incredible at 75, but 86 tackle for a freshman is amazing. This is a player that should look to start right away. I know only a 3-star, but there were other teams that were in the mix that have some prestige, like Alabama, Wisconsin at 4 and 5. Obviously didn't push quite as hard as Kentucky or Vanderbilt maybe, but nobody really did. This is an under-the-radar gem, plus 14 overall 3-star that hopefully ends up playing like a 5-star for us. And when you're a small-time school, we're currently not even in a conference independent right now. We'll see if that changes this offseason. We need to do everything we can in terms of identifying gem-type players early so that we're essentially bringing in 4 and 5-star caliber players at 2 and 3-star prices. And we've done that already with Toure, Daniel Belcher, the running back from Texas. We've done a really good job so far as we'll advance to bowl season. Recruiting's pretty much going to be locked in. So everything that you've seen up to this point, we are not, to my understanding and recollection, going to sign anybody throughout this period. It's just going to be simulating, seeing what's happening around the rest of college football. And when we finally get to the end of the season, that's when things start to ramp up. Rick Hall from Georgia Southern, the redshirt senior quarterback, wins the Heisman. 48 total touchdowns, clearly a dual threat player, 774 yards on the ground on 164 attempts. Amazing season. And, you know, you kind of see a big surprise with Georgia Southern being so good in this particular dynasty. You know, you have a running back, Hunter, from Georgia finishing at number 2, and then 3 more quarterbacks from Nebraska, Memphis, and Clemson. But it's the Georgia Southern QB that ends up winning it all, winning the Heisman. Obviously, we're not going to have any All-Americans at all. And then in regards to championship contenders, we are about as far down the list as you can possibly be. We are absolutely terrible. 1-star prestige, but we're looking to trend up. When you look at the very top, it's going to be some familiar names. But North Carolina is your new number 1 in terms of four-year outlook of championship contenders. Georgia, Michigan, Bama, UCLA making a big run, Tennessee, Clemson, Army goes 12-0, of course, playing as an independent, Nebraska, Navy. I'll tell you, the military schools are making a bit of a run here. And then when you look at the top 25, we have Army at number 1. Unreal. UNC, Georgia, Georgia Southern is your college football playoff. And then you have Michigan, Oklahoma State, Alabama, and Memphis on the outside looking in. 9-3 Alabama is your number 7 team. Unreal. 11-1 Memphis. No love. But yeah, it probably should be. Troy Jones has also set our single school season record for receptions with 83. Now, we should be losing him in the offseason. Of course, with your seniors and redshirt seniors and even some juniors, you're expecting to lose some different players. Dan Sims, the redshirt senior from Dumont, New Jersey, of course, being one of them as well. Look how bad this roster is. Sean Williamson, of course, was a transfer that was brought in. But Troy Jones leaving as well. 84 catches. Now, Anthony Holmes will be staying, however, and getting a bit of a boost. He felt faster than 77 speed, I will say that. But we, in order to get some transfer players, might get rid of some of these bottom of the roster type players. And I think Justin Brown probably not going to make the cut at least. But those decisions do not have to be made now, although they are coming up in a hurry as we approach the end of the season. We are in a recruiting battle for a number of different players, and we would like all of them. We have a couple of different players on the defensive line, and in the front 7 if you include Miles Horst. Delando Ross on the back end would be a nice grab corner. I think we're currently in a battle with Utah, if I remember correctly. And then Danny Pardula. We need quarterback help. He would be a big help. And there is Gene Dangus. Now, we still, of course, have all of our current stats and records. Gene Dangus is 120-69. And when you consider some really terrible runs in there, and the like 2030 to 2033, none of that's Gene Dangus. 2029 included as well at 9-4. None of that is head coach Gene Dangus, right? But factoring in how bad he was to get fired, going to other schools, doing poorly, the record is still incredible. And this is a 2-9 first season, which is the best season the Royals have seen win probability percentage-wise since 2029. 2-10 is worse than 2-9. That's a fact. Now, it isn't great. 8-3 in bowls, by the way, and above 500 significantly against rivals and versus top 25. So the prestige of yours truly, head coach Gene Dangus, is not changing. It's still elite. Now, if you look at our contracts, we're locked up. Safe for now, but if we post another 2-9 season, we're not going to be safe for long. So I'll tell you that. And of course, I'm not looking to leave Riverside. I'm in it for the long haul. So we're going to skip the coaching carousel, head over to players leaving, see who we're missing out on. So this kind of goes without saying, but I'm going to say it anyway. We are going to have 0 players drafted. And this is kind of the big, sad storyline of the entire, reboot so far, is that Desmond Smith was supposed to be our team leader this season, our best player on defense. He had a season-ending injury in one of the first games of the season and doesn't apply for more eligibility. They don't factor in the injury. He's done, and he's graduating. Our starting left guard, Jonathan Tyler, and these are the highest-rated players on our team, leaving. Left end, Chris Hood, leaving. Lewis Moses, and these guys are all graduating to become accountants or businessmen. I don't know what a job is. All these guys played a significant amount. Antoine Davis got a case of the dropsies down the stretch. Clay Moss made a number of big plays for us. Sean Burton, Troy Jones, of course, seems like the big one. He was our entire offense, but we're getting some help in the form of freshman running back Daniel Belcher, which I'm very excited about. Reggie Sims, starting right guard, gone. Pierre Wilkerson made some plays, gone. The legendary captain, Dwayne Wade, Bad at everything, but he was smart. And he's leaving. We'll see if we can bring him on as a graduate assistant and add him to the coaching staff, coach some of our guys up. That could be the way to do it. Tyrone McDowell. I mean, a lot of these guys you won't remember, but Steve Rivera, our return man, played quarterback some for us in a big win. He's graduating. Dan Sims, our 55 overall starting quarterback, graduating. He's certainly getting a job with the IRS or something, and he's the lowest rated player on our team that is leaving us. And then we'll get to transfer requests. I don't expect anyone to want to transfer into Riverside at this point. Nobody does. But it is something that could end up happening down the line, just unfortunately not now. And this is where things get interesting. Recruiting. We're in a battle. The same names you're used to seeing at this point. Clayton Bartlett, defensive end. Danny Pardula, quarterback. Miles Amos, defensive tackle. Miles Horst, middle linebacker. Delando Ross at corner. And then Darius Lambert, we actually do not have any interest in. But this is where things are going to be big. We have 10,000 points. Now, I understand that I have head coach upgrades available to increase that number, not doing it in Season 1. So with these 10,000 points, we're going to have to be extremely selective, but also not miss out on the players that we want to get. Cameron Hinton, I think, is going to be a big get for us. Now, he's only 235 pounds at defensive end. He's not fast. What is he good at? Why are you a 78? Because of high play rec, pursuit? Hinton doesn't actually look that amazing, I'm going to be honest. Garrett Geary we got to get. Now Kansas leads currently for defensive tackle Miles Amos, who is slow, but has 80 power moves, 82 block shed. We are gaining on Kansas, but Alabama has also offered a scholarship. That puts us in a bit of a tough spot. He could be tough to get. And it's funny that he's from Oklahoma, doesn't really have any interest in going there, apparently. He's within their top 5, maybe, but Oklahoma just never really pushed. No scholarship. Miles Horst, I would say, to me, is the biggest one. That would be my say in the matter. He's got great speed, great finesse moves, and at 6'2", 237, he could move to outside linebacker and be a rush player. And he could be very, very good in that role. So he doesn't necessarily have to be starting inside linebacker, despite being listed as a middle linebacker here. Mac Chung, 6'3", 237, better speed. He's just overall a better player than Cameron Hinton, for sure, in my opinion. And he is a worse overall significantly. But definitely would like to get him. Bartlett would be a good grab as well. 89 pursuits, kind of crazy. He could play outside linebacker, a little bit slow for it though. But let's go ahead and remove some of these players off our board because we're not getting Ken Couch. We're not getting Javon Clements. We're not getting Ron Mills. No interest there. I mean, do we really need a JUCO fullback? I'll give him 5 points. That's insignificant, I get it, but that's what we'll give him. So it's not Utah. We already lost the corner to Utah. It's Fresno State for Delando Ross. He's got good speed, okay coverage. He's not an amazing player, but he does look good. And we need better players at corner. Fresno State seems to really want him. I don't know how much we're going to push. I don't. Where are the quarterbacks? We got to get these quarterbacks. At least one of them. Garrett Geary, I think we're going to be able to sign. I'm going to put probably 700 points on him just to make sure that he signs. Got good speed at 81. 81 acceleration. 87 throw power. Only 66 accuracy, but he at least has a bit of an arm. Now, bit of a different story with Danny Pardula. He's not quite the same athlete. Doesn't have quite the same big arm, but does have, I would say, significantly better accuracy at 73. So we have two different quarterbacks that could both end up being, very solid players for us. Now, because Pardula is more of a battle, I think we'd have to put more points on him. I would go for maybe about 2,000. Try to win over Stanford. Now, Stanford doesn't really seem to be pushing too hard, but you never know what can happen in these off seasons. You never know. I'll offer a scholarship to Tamari Freebeck as well. We do need more depth at receiver. He could certainly be that. So in this scenario, do I just give up on Delando Ross? Is that the smartest thing to do? Hinton would be nice. Freebeck would be nice, I guess. I probably prefer him to the junior college transfer just because he's a freshman. We'd have more time to develop him. Although Gardner looks probably a bit better right now. Fanning, I don't have any points on. But I don't know where to take points off, you know? Amos, we might have to give up on compared to Kansas, but I don't really want to. He seems good, but it might be better to just throw some more points on... Did I lose it on JC Fanning? Maybe at least some. 295. I think the smartest thing to do is give up on Delando Ross. Fresno State has been pushing. We're falling out of the race. I don't want to only take one corner in this cycle, but I don't know that we have a choice. All right, I would say that went pretty well. So here's what we have. Clayton Bartlett to Louisiana Tech. He was the junior college right end. Let's actually just look at it in the system. I think it does show you. We did get Garrett Geary, Miles Amos, Mac Chung, Miles Horst, Mario Gardner. We're in a recruiting battle with Delando Ross. Are there recruiting battles in the offseason? I don't really remember that. It has been a while since I've played, obviously. But Delando Ross, I guess, is still undecided. So he did not commit to Fresno State. But we can't put any points on him. So I'm not sure exactly what happens there. Cameron Hinton remains unsigned. We lead for him, but he just doesn't want to sign anywhere. And I want to say I remember these players just disappearing. I want to say he's just going to be gone now. So, okay. Didn't get Tamari Freebeck either. Didn't get Ikem Rhodes. Danny Pardula is the first big loss. The quarterback is headed to Stanford. We can't even see his stats here. But we lost out on him. The 4-star quarterback goes to Stanford. We did get Miles Amos, the defensive tackle, barely by 100 points against Kansas. We did get Miles Horst pretty easily. It looks like Michigan didn't really make much of a push in the end. Did get Mac Chung. Didn't get him all the way to the end, but he did end up signing. JC Fanning to Western Kentucky. Clayton Bartlett was a close battle, but we lost out to Louisiana Tech. We did get receiver Mario Gardner, who I believe was the 90 speed receiver, who I didn't really make a push for, but ends up signing regardless over Fresno State. The fullback Tion Elliott lost out on by 20 to UNLV, who was also third somehow. And then Garrett Geary. We got our quarterback. I think he's not very accurate if I remember, but we did get our quarterback. Darius Lambert to Arkansas State, Micah Davis to ULM. But all in all, not a bad recruiting class for us at all. Now, I don't know what a recruiting battle means for Delando Ross at this point. I don't think we get him, which I think I kind of gave up on him anyway. So I guess he's headed to Fresno State more than likely, or nowhere. And I don't really remember how that works. But you can see, based on our entire recruiting class here, the players in yellow are returning players. All of our top players, pretty much on the entire team, are incoming freshmen or transfer players, which is pretty incredible when you think about it. But that just goes to show you, just how bad our team was. Mario Gardner, the junior, I think is actually going to be a pretty nice get. But let's think about position changes. Obviously, Garrett Geary is going to be our quarterback, but is there any under the radar player? No, not really. I was wondering if there were any dual threat players, so to speak, but no. We will have our quarterback for sure in freshman Garrett Geary from Massachusetts. Running back will be Daniel Belcher. And I don't think anybody else is new. These are all players that were here. But Belcher, I think, will be the starting running back from Deer Park, Texas. You guys all are familiar at this point with Tyler Ashley. Wide receiver. A lot of new faces. Justin Lingard from Oakland. Mario Gardner, the JUCO player from Linwood, California. And Kahi Kalani-Inoke, the freshman from Hawaii. 96 speed is what stands out with him. Only 87 acceleration, but can absolutely fly down the field. That is our deep threat. And I'm going to want to work some of these guys out onto the field, I think, as soon as possible. Does anyone move to tight end? Inoke at tight end seems like it could be kind of a cheat code. Can any one of you guys block quite well? Because that could be where we look to make a change here. Run block, nobody can block. Yeah, nobody is a good candidate to move to tight end at all. So we just only have the two, unfortunately, right now. And our offensive line is going to be an absolute mess. It's going to be so bad. We have no right tackle, so let's move somebody over. And now, these returning players will get boosts to their overall. So James Patterson is an author, but James Peterson will be our starting right tackle. That has to be done. And then probably Christian Gordon in behind him. And then we'll develop Josh Day, redshirt freshman at left tackle. We have 2 more years from Andy Callahan and Eric Williams. At left guard, we have Jason Hampton. We could maybe move somebody over. Andy Callahan's faster. Great acceleration. He actually might be a good fit at left guard. But I wouldn't move him over with a current starter there. Do have our starting center, Jeff Foster, 5'11", 270. Incredible. Guard is going to be fine for right now. And then right tackle you guys know about. So the offensive line is fine. Matt Chung is a new freshman. And these other guys were redshirt freshmen. But Matt Chung, I think, could definitely be the starter. Now, Lamar Simmons, of course, we're bringing back. He'll get a nice boost. I don't think anyone moves down to the defensive end. At defensive tackle, these guys are going to end up, when I say these guys, I mean Brett Johnson and Richard Holt will get a boost over Miles Amos, but I think I still might start Amos anyway. Dane Cooley in behind. So we have a lot of defensive tackle depth right now, even though they're not especially good. And I think Miles Horst should just be an outside linebacker. He's got really good finesse moves. He's fast. Does he get a boost anywhere? He actually goes down in overall, unfortunately. But I still am going to play him there. Right outside linebacker is our highest rated player. Nelson Burnett might start. Steve Hollins, we've seen before. At left outside linebacker, we have Marcus Crooks, who's a sophomore. Now, we could move somebody over. Brandon Jones from Arkansas, as you guys think in the comments, even though AK is Alaska. Not all of you, not all of you, but way too many of you are trying to correct me that AK is actually Arkansas when it is not. I know I keep bringing that up, but it's just, it's the audacity that I think bothers me the most. He, I think, is going to be my starting inside linebacker at some point. His tackling is really bad, but I do like the athleticism and the size, so I could see him being a starter at some point. I mean, he's got 87 speed. Right outside linebacker, Horst maybe starts. I want more speed out on the field, so I could see Nelson Burnett moving to the other outside linebacker spot. What are your power / finesse moves? Not terrible. And just because they will rush the passer occasionally doesn't mean that's like the biggest thing I'm looking for. I'm just curious because it makes it a slightly better fit. I do like Marcus Crooks, though. Decent speed, acceleration. He's a 70 overall with good block shed. Tackling's okay. Is Nelson Burnett better? I don't know. He's got 59 tackling. Oh my goodness. That's why everyone breaks tackles against us. We have guys playing with tackling in the 50s. All right, I think linebacker's going to be fine. I don't really think anybody slides down to defensive end. Lamar Simmons has been such a great player for us. And then at left end, we only really ended up getting Mac Chung despite going after a bunch of defensive ends. So that's just going to have to be the way things are. And then at corner, we've got decent speed. Now, with the addition of Linwood Tapley, we sign all these freshman corners. Now, they weren't even on my board, but they just sign anyway. Dante Creasy does have 90 speed. 91 speed for Ruben Childs. Now, these corners are all really bad, but I guess they just decided to end up going to Riverside instead of their other options, even though I didn't really recruit many of them. Creasy does have the most potential here for sure. He could end up being a starter for us. 6 foot 193 as well. These guys have good size at the position, but Tapley really has the easiest starting potential. And then Mike Taylor, we don't talk about very often. He wasn't that great for us, but he's a 79 overall corner, is a senior, but is really not that bad. Decent speed, 91 man, 93 zone, 80 press. He's actually a pretty awesome looking player. He's just slow with, or not slow, but not amazingly fast, with bad awareness at 77 for a redshirt senior. That's really what's holding him back, but he's actually pretty good. And then Linwood Tapley is going to start. Our cornerback depth is terrible. And then I think at safety, 6'5", 221 is crazy for Wesley Price. He, I think, moves to free safety. Or maybe not. What's your zone coverage? 72. Who do I prefer? He was so good coming downhill and tackling. Tackling's an 81. But Alex Teray just could be better in that role. Although I don't think we're going to make a change. I do like him playing at corner, though, a little bit. So I think Jared Bird, I think he slides over to free safety. And then we can kind of get like a bit of a mix going. 76 zone coverage. Yeah, he's going to play free safety. And then Alex Teray is going to end up being kind of like a hybrid player for us. RJ Murphy can move back over. Still don't have a kicker. Our punter stinks, but is better than the kicker, all things considered. So those will be our position changes. And then when you go into training results here, you will see some boosts. And that includes some players getting marginally faster in some cases, like corner Mike Taylor. He goes up to an 84 overall. He gets a +5. At quarterback, I'm not even really worried about these. Our backups get slightly better, but they're still really bad. Anthony Holmes goes up to a 75 overall. Jimmy Gordon, I don't think is going to play too much. I like the look of the other running backs over him. Justin Watson's going to be back healthy this year. Big injury last season. But the running backs do get slightly better. Fullback Tyler Ashley gets a boost. He's the best player on the offense, maybe. And then a receiver, David Harris, gets a +5 boost. John Smith gets a +6 boost. Now, they're not fast, which I think is a problem. But David Harris is 87 catching now. 84 route running, 87 route running for Stephen Jones. You guys saw a lot of him this season, unfortunately. Receiver's going to be an interesting position for us. Our tight ends get a boost. We actually use both of these guys quite a bit, Clarence Johnson and Jimmy Ewing. Offensive line needed a huge boost, and they got one. Jeff Foster up to an 81. I definitely like the look of this offensive line now. The defensive line, not great, but Lamar Simmons gets up to a 77 with a +5. Defensive tackle Richard Holt, +6 to a 79. Brett Johnson up to a 78. Left outside linebacker Marcus Crooks gets a boost, even a speed. Middle linebacker Kevin McBride up to a 76. Nelson Burnett only goes up +4. What is your tackling now? I need it to be out of the 50s. Gets only a +2 to tackling. Really bad. Corner, we only had 2 real returning players. Tim Gibson and Mike Taylor. And then at free safety, Jared Bird goes up to a 77. +6 for Bryce Bernard, although he's not especially fast. Jared Bird I could see playing quite a bit. Wesley Price up 4 to an 82. Eric Lawson behind him up 5. Now, what did they really get boosts to? Coverage goes up slightly. It's surprising that Wesley Price didn't get more of a boost, considering he was definitely the best player on the team. But those are our boosts, and our team is certainly looking a lot better than it was, this time last year. And it's time to trim the fat a little bit. Justin Brown, cut. Faith Travis, I don't know how you snuck out of the team, but you're cut. You're not making it. You're not making the cut. Probably can cut the senior defensive tackle, Kevin Schneider. He's just never going to play. We got to trim the fat a little bit. We're not going to be a great team by keeping 40 overall players on the team. Goodbye, Malik Johnson. We have a lot of good safeties, though. It's really the strength of the team. We honestly could have moved one of those safeties down to corner, but opted not to. We can still do it in the depth chart. And now, if you look at custom conferences, when I restarted this franchise, or this dynasty, I tried to move as many teams to their proper conferences as I could, but you are limited on what you can do. So the SEC, I got to be in a pretty good spot, but the Big Ten, as you can imagine, is a nightmare. They're missing, a lot of teams like Oregon, who's moving into the Big Ten, right? Washington, Cal has left the pack, but you can't just completely eliminate the pack. And what do I do with teams like Washington? I mean, Cal is an ACC team now, but I'm not sure if I can move them to the ACC. I guess I can. All right, Cal to the ACC. I think Stanford has also moved to the ACC. It doesn't matter a ton right now because it's 2035 we're moving into. Oregon, I cannot move to the Big Ten, obviously. So where does Oregon go? They simply can't go anywhere, right? But the Big 12 has a spot, and we are now going to be no longer independent. But we've got to take it a little bit slower. We're only a 63 overall team. We are rejoining the Mountain West. It's where we started our journey years and years and years ago as a community college moving into the FBS. And now, finally, we're able to be reinstated. So Mike Taylor is the new highest rated player on our team, although it will be Wesley Price, who is an All-American, at least on the watch list here early. You can see that big A with the star behind him. Daniel Belcher, of course, new to the team. I still can't believe we're starting a 5'11" center. Garrett Geary likely will start at quarterback, as you guys know. But corner is something I'm really interested in. Right now, it's Jared Bird, and I like the idea of that. But I think also, if we go like Bird, free safety 2, right? And then he could be cornerback 4. Okay, stay with me here. Gibson moves down for, what is Gibson's speed? 82? I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter. He moves out for Alex Toure. So he can be third corner plus starting free safety. And then I'm assuming when Toure moves down to slot corner and nickel packages, Bird would take his place at free safety. That's my thought. Now, this might get kind of screwed up. So what we could do is just go into formation subs and fix it. I might do that. So right now he's looking to start at free safety. That's just a base 3-4 defense. And I think in that, Burnett should not be starting. It should be Horst. Okay. I'm okay with Marcus Crooks at left outside linebacker, I think. Who's playing off ball here? Kevin McBride and Jared Bird in the box. I don't think I like. What's his tackling? 72 is actually not that bad. Block shedding's a 72 as well. That actually could be kind of nice. See, in nickel 155 prowl, we'd have Tim Gibson onto the field, who definitely stinks. Could move Derek Lawson there, but I was thinking, Jared Bird would play free safety in this spot, and Toure would move up into the box. That was my thinking, but you can see new overalls based on what these guys actually look like playing in that role, which is interesting to say the least. Also, I didn't realize Jared Bird would be so good in the box. He might just be able to play that slot corner role. So I'll probably end up customizing these new freshmen off camera. I can't imagine the faces are going to change too much, but numbers certainly could, and gear potentially as well. But now is the point where I have to go into the Excel sheets, have everything randomized and customized using the recruiting mod. Shout out to Fang's recruiting mod, and I have to follow a YouTube video. So the recruiting mod is officially in. It has worked, and you can tell because there are players you would never see before, like 90 overall Kofi Reed. And now, of course, All of these are susceptible to change. 87 overall for Jarrett Parker, 87 for Jack Beckwith. You see a bunch of 87s in here, and it's not all, high 80s. As we get outside of the top 30 or so, we start to get into the 70s and stuff, which is, not too different from the non-recruiting mod. But with the recruiting mod, you actually get some of those really high-end players that can be instant impact players in college football that you otherwise just normally would not see. So I really do love the recruiting mod here. Now, what I don't love is that, Chris Love at corner, that's incredible timing. Isaac Cumberlander. What I don't like is that none of these top players have any interest in Riverside whatsoever. Actually, there is one player in the top 100. 4-star tackle Theron Ramsey from Carson, California. Now, here's what I'll say. Offensive line, certainly a big position of need for us. Just all of them are the same. Now, there are some players with apparently Riverside as their top school that also have a deal breaker that stops them from even being or putting Riverside into consideration, which is bizarre. I don't know a way around that, but we have some names. We have some names in the recruiting class. Jericho Jarman, Justice Maggio is crazy. Reggie with 1G, Ajay Barima, George Guy. Now, I saw Aaron Williams, the name of Texas DB recruit he was in the 2000s. He was a good player for the Bills, briefly. Tyler Clapp, maybe brother of Will. I did see a tight end that has probably one of the favorite names I've ever seen. His name is Stan Vaughn. Now, I don't know if we're going to have a chance to get him, but his name was Stan Von Hunter. Not Stan Von Hunter, but Stan Vaughn. And he can run pretty quick, 4.52. And there are some tight ends that actually have interest in us ahead of him. So we're going to add a lot of these guys to our board. Quarterback is always going to be a position of need for us. You always have to get the next guy in there. And maybe the way to do it could be looking at athletes. That wouldn't be the worst idea. But as always, we are trying to find those gems. The guys that you don't expect to be great that end up being great. But we are going to start with players that have Riverside in their top 10 schools and adjust accordingly. Now, I don't like the fact that Lezedrick Chun is a scrambler who apparently runs in the 4.9s. Don't love that. But this is a big scouting period for us right now. That's the biggest focus. Just add some of these guys to the board and figure out who's good and who's not. And the guys with a high lock percentage, I don't know that we're going to have a chance at some of these players I've added, because it looks like if you're 100% locked in, are we even going to be able to compete with Fresno State? I think because we're in the top 3, we would be able to, but it's going to be a recruiting battle the entire way. Jaquan Omatosho, 4.7 speed, maybe. I mean, we're just adding some players kind of at random right now. I don't think we're going to have a shot at Dylan Major. So we have 1,000 points remaining for scouting. And now going into Season 2, this could be a really good time to upgrade a coach skill tree here for recruiting. Not going too crazy, but it could be a good chance to unlock the opener, the closer, royal treatment, works for the Riverside Royals, and then potentially opening some locked recruits wouldn't be the worst idea either. So we'll leave those at level 1 for now, and we'll adjust accordingly. But right now, it's all about scouting. We have 1,000 points. I've only really added offensive players, a couple of front 7 guys, defensive linemen, but I'm really interested in the offensive players this week, and we'll see if we can find some gems. And we're off to a great start with Joseph McCabe, who looks pretty similar attribute-wise to the quarterback we have. Now, McCabe's only 5'11", though, which is interesting, but good speed. And we're just looking to find some gems, some guys that I could see fitting in with the team, and some guys that probably won't fit quite as Kurt good. Get him out of here. Oh, there we go. +6 gem for Jaquan Omatosho. Only 84 speed, but good catching at 81. I was hoping to find some good stuff with these tight ends. It's not a good start for Markel Henderson. Well, he's got decent speed. Catching's okay. It's not great. We're going to need to find something at this position, because tight end is going to be a position of need for sure. Oh my goodness. These guys stink. Oh, Theron Ramsey's terrible. They're all busts. Finally, somebody that's not going down a ton. But this was not good for tackle recruiting. We're already out of points. But Foster Autry does look quite good. Is there anyone we should redshirt? It's not going to be anybody at quarterback, running back, fullback. What about receiver? Inoke I want to play. So it doesn't really make sense to redshirt him. I don't think we're going to redshirt any of the receivers. And I know it seems like Inoke could. I think he's just going to play too much. He's the fastest receiver, maybe even the fastest player on the team. Don't really want to lose him. But I could see some offensive linemen redshirting. And I already have, with the exception of maybe Jermaine Crowder. We have depth in case we need a backup to come in. Amos, I think, is going to get on the field at some point, so I don't really want to redshirt him. Brandon Jones is buried a little bit, but I think we'll end up seeing the field. I don't really think I can redshirt any of these guys at linebacker. Dante Creasy is going to wear the red shirt. And then maybe one more corner as well, maybe Ruben Childs. And we can have Malik Van Pran if we need somebody. And then at safety, RJ Murphy, I don't really anticipate playing too much, so we'll redshirt him. And there aren't really a lot of redshirt options. We're not that deep of a roster at the moment. And then as for our schedule, we do have number 2 Alabama and number 5 Army back-to-back on the road. I don't love that. I do like playing Army, though, because I think that could be an easy opportunity to stop a run-focused offense and steal a win against a top-ranked opponent. Alabama's going to be tough. I've scheduled home versus Stanford week 14, and I think that's going to be our schedule. And we already have some recruits who are ready to visit as well, which is kind of nice. Now, I want more points for scouting, but all that's going to be in the next episode, where we play our first game of the season, and that's going to be against San Diego State on the road. So I'll see you there. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Hope you're excited for this next season, and I'll see you in the next one. Take it easy.